Hello everyone, this is Andrew Estes and welcome to another video. And this time, this is a reaction video. No longer playing Skyrim for right now. So what we're going to do is that we're going to react to a video that is called "Why Ulfric is an Idiot, Civil War Lore." I'm also going to debunk some facts for what he would say, because what he's saying is sometimes typically wrong. So, you guys will hear some pauses. If you guys do not want to hear the videos with any pauses, please go down in the description below. And if you already did that, then let's get started. 3, 2, 1, go.
To some Nords, Ulfric Stormcloak is a hero. From their perspective, he defeated a High King enslaved to the Emperor and promises to emancipate Skyrim from an ailing, weak, and inefficient empire subservient to the Thalmor.
I fight for the men I've held in my arms, dying on foreign soil. I fight for their wives and children whose names I heard whispered in their last breaths. I fight for we few who did come home, only to find our country full of strangers wearing familiar faces. I fight for my people, impoverished to pay the debts of an empire too weak to rule them, yet brands them criminals for wanting to rule themselves. I fight so that all the fighting I've already done hasn't been for nothing. I fight because I must.
But in reality, Ulfric Stormcloak is an idiot. From the questionable circumstances surrounding his killing of High King Toreg to his plan to weaken Skyrim by removing the province from the Empire.
Are you sure about that? Because Skyrim was weakened because of the White Gold Concordant. 4/9 of Skyrim decided to secede from the Empire in order for them to become stronger again. And it's because of the Thalmor that the reason why Skyrim is actually weakening is because the Empire is weakening. Because they destroyed the heart and soul of the Empire, Talos. So don't you dare say that Ulfric is weakening Skyrim, because it was the Emperor's fault in the first place for agreeing to that treaty, to that White Gold Concordant.
It's clear that Ulfric isn't the smartest of Jarls. Chronologically, it makes sense to start with the actions that instigated the Skyrim Civil War, namely Ulfric's duel with the then High King, Toreg. Ulfric claims that he challenged the High King to the duel and killed him because the High King was more supportive of the Empire than of Skyrim, because he didn't oppose the White Gold Concordance. However, the court mage in Solitude, Sybil Stentor, suggests that all Ulfric had to do was merely ask the High King to declare independence. Toreg hated the White Gold Concordance and loved his country. After all, he was elected by the other Jarls of Skyrim, because the position of High King isn't one that's inherited, rather they're chosen at a moot. So that would suggest that he must have at least been a man of some intelligence and a patriot. Elected. So from the perspective that Ulfric could have simply asked Toreg to rebel against the Empire rather than rushing in and killing him to prove a point, I think it's clear that Ulfric isn't a man inclined to think things through. But even if we assume that killing Toreg was the only way for Ulfric to remove an Empire sympathizer, he went about it in a stupid way. Using the voice in a trial by combat was always going to spark controversy. In Skyrim, many Nords find themselves unable to support Ulfric because they feel that he was dishonourable. Using the voice in a traditional Nord trial by combat is almost worse than using magic. It's cheating because Toreg never stood a chance against him. I mean, fair enough if Toreg knew the voices well, but he didn't. If Ulfric was being smart, he would have defeated him in normal melee combat. That is the traditional way, and it would have caused a lot less controversy, allowing for more people to support Ulfric than otherwise did. There's only one explanation really for these two seemingly stupid actions, that Ulfric Stormcloak was hungry for personal power. By rushing in and killing the High King in such a manner, he both proved his strength and he was able...
He challenged High King Torrig in a fair fight. It wasn't Ulfric's fault that Torrig doesn't knew the voice. That was actually up to him. It was up to Torrig to join Ulfric and to go into High Roughguard. But he decided to decline that. I'm mad. Sorry about that, guys. If Torrig learned how to use this voice, then it would probably... You might have a point there. Or maybe that Ulfric should not use the voice. But he actually... Well, you're saying that Ulfric shouted him to death. No, he only shouted at him once. And stabbed him with his sword. And nothing more.
To kill the High King before he had a chance to explain his political position, making it easier for Ulfric to claim that he was weak and an Empire sympathizer and potentially take his place. There's also another issue with Ulfric's bid to usurp Torrig and become High King. He can't just win a war and then become the ruler of Skyrim. He has to be elected in a moot to be fully legitimate. So even if he does win the Skyrim Civil War quest line and becomes the sort of unofficial High King, he's not really, because there was no official moot to elect him. And even if there was, it would hardly be legitimate in itself, because Ulfric had all the pro-Empire Jarls removed and replaced with Jarls loyal to him, so it wouldn't exactly be a fair election. The main reason, though, for Ulfric being an idiot is his stance on the Empire. Ulfric takes umbrage at the fact that Talos worship has been outlawed all across the Empire because of the peace treaty the Empire signed with the Old Merry Dominion.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, it is pretty dumb for what the Empire did. And of course, Ulfric is an idiot. Is not an idiot, I meant, for deciding to secede there. It was the Empire's fault that they lost that they just destroyed themselves by signing that stupid treaty in order to become weaker.
The Great War. His position is that the Empire can no longer protect its citizens because it simply bends to the whims of the Old Merry Dominion. But consider the alternative to the Empire not outlawing Talos worship. The Great War would not have ended, and it's possible the Empire would have lost, and even if they didn't lose, it would have been likely that there simply would have been a stalemate. By signing that treaty, the Empire bought themselves time to recuperate and stave off the Old Merry Dominion's onslaught. So Ulfric's position against the Empire on the basis it's betrayed its citizens isn't a sensible one. Yes, they might have betrayed their citizens' freedom to worship, but they had no other choice if they were to survive. Also, a second...
You do know that the Blades would have... So there's something called the Blades. Blades are like probably way more powerful than what the Thalmor are. If the Dragonborn was there during the Great War, he would have just destroyed the Thalmor without any other circumstances. He would have just taken it back what was theirs in the get-go. But that's where they were wrong. But that's when before the Dragonborn was there. Ulfric Stormcloak used the probably was there during the Great War after he was training with the Greybeards for 10 years straight. He used probably the voice to destroy most of the Thalmor. Which was pretty good. Ulfric was the hero, is the hero of Skyrim. But did they decide to elect him High King? No. They would not, because he wasn't Jarl of Solitude. He just pleased immediately the Jarl of Windhelm.
Great War is almost inevitable. The Ordinary Dominion call the Great War the First War against the Empire, which is a clue that they're getting ready for a second one, and simply speaking to a Thalmor Justicia will reveal...
Okay, so there's another thing. Ulfric knew that they might cause another Great War if he won the Civil War. But he is prepared for that. He's getting ready to destroy the elves once and for all.
That they hate mankind. So why on earth Ulfric doesn't simply accept this fact and bide his time as against me? Why rebel against the Empire when you know that a war is looming and that you can simply worship Talos openly again after that? Why rebel and weaken the Empire and its chances of beating the Dominion just so you can worship Talos a few years early?
Okay.
Congratulations. Look at this kid! Early.
The reason why is because he does not want to wait that long in order to... He just wants to see the Thalmor go down, and that's what he didn't see. The Emperor would not let him get what he wanted. So Ulfric decided to fight for his freedom, to rebel against the Empire. And whoever goes against Talos is going to die underneath the Thalmor hand. And that is not what Ulfric wants. He wants to protect his people. He wants to protect his right of citizens. Of his own citizens. He wants independence. He wants his own High King and his own rule. He does not want some empire moot in order to name someone High King or Queen. No. That is what he is. He is an imperial veteran. And he fought for the Empire just for what? So the Thalmor can just destroy the heart and soul of the Empire? Is that really what you're saying? That's not what I want. If I was Ulfric.
Ulfric Stormcloak. Some here in Helgen call you a hero. But a hero doesn't use a power like the voice to murder his king and usurp his throne. You start his war. Plunge Skyrim into chaos.
Okay, so he's putting down a little bit of something that happened in the beginning, of Skyrim. Okay, here's a little bit of rebuttal debunked for Tullius. Tullius said this because he knew that because he thought that Ulfric would die in Helgen. But instead, he was more of a fool. Tullius was more of a fool than he thought. If Ulfric really cares about his own rule, if Ulfric doesn't care about anyone but himself, then why the hell does he have people on his side? That's what I'm getting at. Ulfric loves his people. Why doesn't Tullius just accept this and just said that this is just probably just to prove us what? Right. Tullius is more of a fool for even agreeing with the Empire, with the Thalmor. Even Legate Ricka, she is a Talos supporter. She tries to put it behind her. But that failed miserably when it came to that.
And now the Empire is going to put you down and restore the peace.
Then there's the issue of military strength. The basics are this. If the Oldmo Dominion declared war on the Empire after the Skyrim Civil War, assuming that Ulfric won and Skyrim is now independent, all that's changed is that the Empire is now weaker. Even if Skyrim were to help the Empire and fight alongside it, the overall military strength will still be weaker because there would be less cohesion. Rather than there being one centralized military, there are instead two, or three if you count the Red Guards, and that simply hemorrhages military cohesion. The Empire, for all its weaknesses, is also richer than Skyrim because Cyrodiil is so prosperous. They can arm their soldiers with better equipment. Also, the Empire's commanders are more experienced. Most of them commanded in the Great War, whereas Skyrim's commanders would probably only have experience from the Civil War. So on a basic level, Skyrim stands a better chance of survival fighting within the Empire rather than alongside it, or not fighting with it at all. Besides the issue of the Skyrim Civil War and the potential Second Great War, Ulfric is an idiot due to his apparent racism. And perhaps surprisingly, I'm not talking about his stance so much on the Dark Elves here. Although the elves reportedly inhabit the slum of the Grey Quarter, there are some accounts that the elves, rather than being forced to live there, do choose to live there. Ulfric also states that he doesn't listen to their concerns because he doesn't listen to anyone's concerns because of the Civil War. He leaves the civil matters to his guards, who may be prejudiced against the Dark Elves.
You've seen how we live. Cramped alleys, run-down buildings, few guard patrols. Even the name Grey Quarter is an insult.
However, it is undeniable that Ulfric dislikes, or maybe hates, the Argonians because he banned them from living in the city. They are instead forced to live on the docks. There's no real explanation for this other than Ulfric being racist, which complements his general stupidity. Effectively, he's making Windhelm look less appealing to...
Okay, now you're just making things too far. This isn't about the Civil War matter. We're talking about the Civil War here. Why are you attacking Ulfric over a race? Who really? That's on him. Who cares if he's racist? I don't. He said that he wants some assistance with the Bretons in High Rock. So no, he is not racist. He also got some assistance if you are an Argonian if you are a Dragonborn from the Argonian, if you join the Stormcloaks, Ulfric would still accept you. If you are a Dark Elf, if you are Dragonborn, you're a Dark Elf, if you join the Stormcloaks, he would still accept you. Any other race, he would still accept you. So yeah, you are wrong there. Ulfric does care about his people. It was the guard's decision in order to not be there around the Grey Quarter or anything or anywhere else. It's not his fault that the Nords attacked the Dark Elves. It's their fault that the Argonians are getting sick. he treats every single race equally. If you are a Nord, Argonian, whatever, he will still treat you nicely. He would let the Argonians and the Dark Elves live there, but of course he would not try to. I mean, yeah, he does have a point about not letting the Khajiit live in there. It's because of their reputation.
Foreign immigrants, he might otherwise prove a boon to the city's economy, and at the same time he's just pissing off a bunch of residents for no good reason. If Ulfric had a legitimate reason for excluding the Argonians, for instance if they were actually just a bunch of thieves, then that would be understandable, but blaming their people isn't seemingly a smart thing to do.
It's because some of their clans just it's because some of their clans weren't even just robbed them multitude of times. Their race, and that's why they were treated badly most of the time. Because of that.
I guess this prejudice isn't unlike how most Jarls ban Khajiits from entering their cities due to the preconceptions that they have about them. So I guess Ulfric isn't that unique there, he just takes it a step further. The next reason why Ulfric is stupid is simple. By the end of the Civil War questline, or at least a few weeks afterwards, he doesn't become High King. This is perhaps more an issue with game design and laziness from the developers than Ulfric's character, but nonetheless, it's strange that a man obsessed with becoming High King doesn't actually become High King when the Civil War ends. He's unofficially the High King, and he does claim that title, but he doesn't have a coronation, or change his attire, or call a moot to facilitate his becoming High King of Skyrim. Thank you for watching this video.
Okay. It wasn't Ulfric's fault that the moot isn't there yet, in order to become High King. He's just sitting there and just wait for the moot, and every single Jarl that's now the Jarl of the Stormcloak Jarls will be on Ulfric's side at the end of the time. So yeah, your little ideas are debunked. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little debunking of this video. Let me just copy this link in order for you guys to see it down in the description below. And adios, no, goodbye, and farewell.